Welcome back. I'm here with Ronnie Martinez. He's a candidate for District 29, House District 29. All right, and we were talking in the break there. It's a lot of it is undeveloped and stuff. Ventana Ranch and westward, when you go to the west there were plans there prior to the housing market crashing. You remember,
Yes.
there was a lot of development and stuff, and then that one main company left, and I don't want to advertise for them, so I'm not mentioning them
Sure.
right now, but when they left, it was all like everything was quiet and said, no, I don't think there's anybody going to be doing anything there. Anyway, so what do you hear when you go out knocking doors?
That's
I
one of
always
the-
like to hear what the area concerns are as far as they're talking mostly about infrastructure. What are they talking about?
Exactly what they're talking about. A lot of infrastructure. We need better roads and sidewalks and stuff. We need some grocery stores. The one thing that I've been hearing, along with what I want to do, is there's really nothing for our kids to do up on the west side. So I'd like to see if maybe we can get a skate park out there, get maybe a place where the kids can.
So
ride
where are
their
they
bikes.
going now? What do they do now?
Is what I'm hearing is they're going down. There's one right off of Coors and Coors bypass area, so some of the kids are going down there. But other than that, that's
But
probably
someone has to take them down there. 'Cause
exactly.
They can't,
Yeah, because
they can't make it down there by
exactly.
themselves,
So there's some stuff that I like to do for the kids, stuff of that nature. To keep them out of trouble, keep them entertained during the summer, and maybe in the wintertime and stuff like that. Keep a lot more active in there. We do need a lot more housing up there. When the freeze came out, when everything stopped building, Ventana Ranch kind of looked. I mean, you got all these houses that were being built and then they're boarded up, which was a bad thing. The housing market in Ventana Ranch really took a big hit around that time.
It's still doing okay though, right?
Yeah, it's still doing okay. It's still
But
doing
you're
okay.
seeing a lot of boarded up homes?
A lot of boarded up homes. There were a lot of apartments that were being built and stuff like that, and then there were some houses that were being auctioned out there. So the current houses that were already built and already established in that area did take somewhat of a little bit of a hit and stuff like that. But now I think that the market's coming up a little bit. It seems like our values, our homes are going up a little bit too. So
The market's coming up a little.
it's coming up a little bit. It
Yeah.
seems like there's a lot more building out there, but we still need a lot more commercial and strip malls and stuff like that. I think we need to put up. there.
Once it's developed, I think that whole area has so much potential there. Right now,
is.
there's nothing there except when you go out, there's just desert sometimes when you look in some parts of it. It has a lot of potential because that's one area the city can grow,
Oh, sure, it can go.
unless it's growing southwards. But you can grow kind of northwest in that area.
Yes.
People sometimes are reluctant to go there because they say, well, it's far from everything. So you're right about the streets and kind of bringing them in through better schools. I think that would be one way of doing it. I
Oh
think.
yeah, definitely, yeah. Because the big thing too is the schools that we have there. A lot of the kids are having to walk on the street and stuff like that because there is no sidewalks and stuff like that. And that's a public safety individual. That's one of the things that I look out for these kids to put some lighting, and stuff like that, so the kids can see and get them on the sidewalks and not on the street to keep them away from harm's way. A lot of people driving, especially on Universe, because it is a 2-lane road, and Volcano Vista runs to the west of that street there, and it's not really sidewalked all the way through. So I'd like to see if we can put.
That's a
better
good
streets.
thing, though. You're looking out for the kids, and I remember during the break we're talking about you falling. I think you fell in the ditch when you
Yeah.
were a little kid.
I did.
Tell us a little bit about that way they know what the history behind that is and why you got into the children's kind of a safety thing and all that. So that kind of gives them an idea there.
When I was about 7 years old, me and my nephew, my mother and my sister, we were all going to take a nap. They put us to sleep, and my sister was sleeping on the other side of the room. My mom was sleeping on the other side, and then my nephew, we both look at each other and we're kind of like, let's go play, So we're going to go. So we went out, started to play, and we had these remote control cars that you could sit in, and we took them up to the ditch, which I lived in South Valley, where Rosendo Garcia and Foothill area. And so we pulled our cars there, and we were just throwing rocks in the ditch, and I found this one big rock, and I threw it in the water. Well, when I threw it, I fell in the ditch, and I'm trying to swim. I didn't know how to swim, but I was trying to get to the side, and I could hear my nephew in the background was laughing at me, and I could kind of see a shadow, and I'm like, next thing I hear was a big splash, and when I hear the splash, I find these weeds that I'm holding onto, and he's just a little further north of me, and he starts floating down the ditch towards me, and I'm holding onto these weeds, and I see him coming towards me, and so I grab a hold of him, and as I'm holding the weeds start to give away. So as a small kid, I'm kind of nervous, and I just had to make a decision at that point of whether do I let him go or do we both go down the ditch. It's kind of weird. So I let him go, and he floated south of where I'm at. Where they found him at was at Arenal and Foothill is where they found him at, And
So both you guys were in there? For a
both
while
of us, yes, we both fell in.
before you were found, I think, and you, well, you're here, so
Yeah.
you survived it. But it's dangerous for kids, I think.
Yes.
They don't know. I think this is when you decided to get into the child safety thing and all that.
Yes,
educating kids. And
Exactly. I did a lot of fire prevention classes when I was, as a volunteer. I played Smokey Bear at a lot of parades, and also I did a lot of prevention at the fire stations. I would invite the kids to the station and tell them, hey, come on up. You know, you kids could visit the fire station. Instead of going to the classroom, I've invited them there so they could see, how we lived for 24 hours and stuff like that. Give them cookies, milk, or whatever. We'd have lunch together, and I would talk to them about ditch safety, fire safety, stop, drop, and roll. And I constantly would have lots of kids coming up to the fire station. To this day, I still get some of the kids telling, hey, Mr. Martinez or Firefighter Martinez, I remember when I went to your fire station, you showed me how to do stop, drop, and roll and stuff like that. And
it has an impression on children.
It does.
Kids, especially between 7 and 14, I notice they're very impressionable. We all know, I raised 2 of mine, so you can tell they learn a lot at that age, and
Yes.
if you kind of mentor them a little bit. So it's a good thing. So I think that's what you're involved in, I think, a lot of the mentoring of children and stuff. So how does that progress now? As far as the children's safety and all that, you decided to actually work with the kids and stuff, right? Do you go to schools, or what do? You just
For right now, since I've been retired, I haven't been to any schools. Prior to me retiring, I did go to a lot of the schools. They would call me up and ask me, hey, can you bring a fire truck and stuff like that. I did it in the city of Albuquerque. I've been to Los Lunas. A couple of times I went to Santa Fe. So yeah, I would really be involved, and I love to talk to the kids about safety and stuff like that. And me falling in a ditch, I think that's one of the reasons why I was a fireman, because I think that was my calling, and that's what my mother told me. I think this is your calling. She used to tell me, if you pass away one day, she said, God's going to have that big gold firehouse up in heaven for you and stuff like that. So yeah, and running for state legislature, that's one of the things I want to take out to be more energetic, so that the other legislators would understand that when I'm looking at something, I'm looking at it as a safety standpoint. So if it's about streets or lighting, or it's like our seniors. Here's another thing that I think we need that our seniors up on the west side need is a state-of-the-art senior center.
there's nothing there as far as senior center?
There's a senior center, but it's a really small one. And when I've talked to a lot of the seniors that are out there, when I'm knocking on doors, they're telling me that it's just too small of a place.
So you need a bigger facility. I think then the county comes in for that, or you get the state?
It could be the city, county, or state.
It could be a partnership.
It could be a partnership, and that's what I want to do. I want to equip it with a generator. I'd like to equip it fully so that if when you're out in the fire trucks and like a big storm that we had yesterday, a lot of times you lose electricity.
Correct.
And some of the seniors will be on oxygen, or it might not even be a senior. It could be somebody, a small child or whatever. And so we get a lot of 911 calls saying, hey, you know what, can you come out and bring some oxygen for us? And so what I'd like to do is build a senior
You actually
center.
get a lot of calls saying bring oxygen to us?
Oh yeah,
as far
definitely.
as the seniors?
Oh, you will. You'll get some calls out there saying, hey, you know what? I have no electricity and my O2 tank is low. So you will get those. I when I was in the field, I ran to quite a few of them actually, and stuff like that, where they run out of oxygen, and they have these oxygen tanks in there and they're plugged in, and so for them to fill, they got to have electricity, and sometimes they just didn't fill it that day, or it hadn't kicked on or whatever.
And they never expected the lights to go off like that, which is it's a realistic thing. I mean, if they're worried about having their oxygen run out.
Exactly, and so I'd like to equip the center with a generator, so this way, if something like that happens, then this way the generator would kick on, and then at this point we could tell our seniors, if this happens, you can go down to the senior center, get some oxygen, maybe equip it with a nurse or a paramedic part-time, and so they could take care of these individuals, not only for that too, but in the winter and summertime. In the summertime, when it's really extremely hot, electricity goes out, these seniors, it's really hard for them to be out in the heat, so maybe they could go there and stay cool for the day or whatever until the electricity comes up. Same thing in the wintertime, if they lose electricity.
So you need a pretty decent facility there, I think.
Yes,
because it won't
exactly.
be something small. This will be a pretty big project, I think. I
Exactly.
don't think it will be a small project. So you would need funding for that.
Yes.
You need to ask the state for the funding and all
Yes.
that. I think
I'd like to see the city, county, and state, everybody kind of make this happen together with everybody's cooperation.
Well, if you're in the legislature, you can always pitch for that. I mean, for your constituents, and I think they'll
Exactly.
like that.
Yep.
We take another break. We'll come back and we'll talk some more. Okay. We'll take a short break and we'll be right back.